You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Vanderbilt opens up as 21.5-point favorites this weekend against Utah State. And, we're in a day and age right now. It's uncharted territory, right? I'm going to remind you of this. Look at number 20 in the AP in the coaches poll. Look at number 18 in the AP poll. Woo, we're creeping up there. Just got to keep winning. Vanderbilt's, in the 20s or more favorites in now 3 of their 5 games that they will have played. They were underdogs against South Carolina, and they were, I think they were. I can't remember what they were against Virginia Tech. I think they were underdogs there too, not by much. But open up as 21.5-point favorites against Utah State. So we answer the question, who is Utah State? What do they bring to the table? Why should Vanderbilt be concerned with Utah State? Because it's Utah State. This is the first time they've ever played program history. So here's where we're at. Utah State is off to a 3-1 start, 4 games into the Bronco Mendenhall era, losing only to Texas A&M. So Bronco Mendenhall took over this job, which was, he took over an abysmal Utah State team, I think, that went 1-11 in Mountain West play in the Mountain West Conference last year, and they were dreadful. And what do we know about Bronco Mendenhall? He had the Virginia Cavaliers in the ACC championship game. They ended up losing that year, but he had them in the ACC championship game. He had that team competitive after they had been in the cellar of the Atlantic Coast Conference, and he's done that everywhere he's been. BYU, he made BYU great. I think he retired because he was just burnt out, and I think BYU can do that to you, just with all the things that's going on in Provo and all the things that goes on with, coaching at a Mormon college. But Bronco Mendenhall is absolutely outstanding. I mean, it's no surprise they're off to a 3-1 start in 4 games. They just destroyed Air Force. They destroyed McNeese State, and I can't remember who they beat in the first game. I don't think it matters. But their only loss is to Texas A&M. So their offense is electric. And when you watch them, they're led by Bryson Barnes. They're coming off a game in which they racked up over 635 yards of total offense, 334 on the ground. So what we know about them is their offensive line is stout. They get after you. They're explosive. They're dynamic. They do a lot of things that can put guys into conflict. A lot of what Vanderbilt does, to a certain degree, like they throw quick passes, their guys make guys miss, they're disciplined, they don't make a ton of mistakes, they don't turn the ball over a whole bunch. Obviously, with their rushing totals, they're great carrying the ball on the ground, and part of that is Bryson Barnes carrying the ball. So they're they can rack up the yards and they can rack up the points. So if you focus on your Vanderbilt in this matchup is talented enough defensively. They have the players, they have the front 7, they have the secondary. They can obviously dominate this game and take over, but I think they have a similar talent level offensively to Georgia State, which Georgia State was pretty stout up front, surprisingly. But I just don't know that Georgia State really knew what they wanted to do, except for get the ball to Ted Hurst. Like, I don't think they had much else beyond that. And that's what was concerning about Georgia State. Georgia State could be so much of a better team if they kind of knew what direction they wanted to go. But this offense is going to be electric nonetheless. And I can't wait to see kind of what the game plan is against them. Bryson Barnes, obviously, it goes through him. Their leading receiver, or their running back, Miles Davis. He's not a jazz musician, but Miles Davis is going to be, a great piece for them offensively, and it's going to go through him because they like to run the ball. They want to establish the run. They want to establish the line of scrimmage. They're going to work to do so because to dominate in their conference, that's what they're going to have to do. It's the Mountain West is kind of low key a line of scrimmage conference, and they have to win up front to do so. They can throw the ball. They were balanced. They had 334 yards, 293 through the air to rack up the 635 against Air Force, And they did something similar against McNeese State, which I don't think the stats matter against McNeese State. But against Air Force, their conference foe, they racked up a bunch of yards, and they, and Air Force is typically a tough team to beat. So we're going to talk about their defense and what they do. We're going to talk about some of their notable players next. But first, it's time to talk about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the detail. Mazda brings the same intention on how we craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Nappa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence throughout almost any season. So like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. I'm going to use that quote. Impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, wrapping up the show here, Locked on Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We are on social media at Locked on Vandy on all social media platforms. Feel free to give you a follow there. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff, wherever you get your podcast, wherever you like to listen, whether it's watching on YouTube at work or at home or while you're working out, whether you get a pre-workout of, dose of me talking to you. That's, I don't know, that's strange. If that's strangely motivating to you, great. I will say, hey, get that last set in. You can do it. Breathe, lift, breathe, push, all that stuff. Whatever motivational things you need me to say if you're listening to me while you work out, by all means. All right. We're wrapping up the show here. We're trying to figure out who Utah State is. Okay. We're trying to figure out who they are, what they're about, why they're a tough opponent. And this game is going to be, I think it's going to be a lower key great game, because they're so well coached. Like, I don't think Vanderbilt's going to be able to take their foot off the gas. They're ranked 18th in the country in the AP poll. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to rest on that, because this team comes in extremely well coached with Bronco Mendenhall. So I don't want to say it's a trap game, because it's right before Alabama. I know I used the trap game thing earlier in the season. But if any game was a trap game, this would be it. It's a opponent that wasn't very good last year. They don't have the roster depth to really be able to hang with the A&Ms and the SEC teams of the world that they play on their schedule. But I think they're showing that this transition into the Bronco Mendenhall era is a fast one, and I think they're going to be players in the Mountain West Conference. Like, they're going to be a team to contend with over there, and they're going to be a team that everyone has to take seriously. And if they don't, they're going to make some moves. They're going to make some waves in that conference. They already made a statement against Air Force. Why not continue to do so? So Vanderbilt has to prevent that. And Vanderbilt's going to have to be sharp on defense, because, like I said, they have a great rushing attack, 334 yards against Air Force. And this is a team that can really chew up yards. This is a team that can really get after you if you're not dialed in. So defensively, though, their front seven is also dominant. They can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They've racked up 10 sacks on the season. They're very well coached, and they can execute at a high level. So, just overall, this defense, I think, with the pressure they can get. John Miller, linebacker, has 36 tackles and 4 sacks. He's the team leader in both of those categories. He's somebody that can pose a lot of problems with opposing quarterbacks. He's somebody that is a sure tackler and can really make you earn your yards and make you kind of earn your points. And that's what Utah State's going to try to do with Vanderbilt. They're going to try to make Vanderbilt remain patient. Now, Vanderbilt's probably Tim Beck is probably one of the most patient offensive coordinators I've ever seen. He has no problem taking 5 yards at a time, and he will do so, and he will gladly do so. And Diego Pavia, who used to be kind of impatient last year, I think sometimes would run himself out of first downs because he gets impatient and wants to make the big play. One of the biggest improvements I've seen in Diego coming into this year is the patience of, okay, I'm going to take these yards because this is going to be here when we call this play. I'm going to take it. And if I get 6 yards, so be it. We'll be set up on second down. And then second down, you get your, even if you get 2 yards, you're still set up in 3rd and 2. And those are a lot easier conversions than 3rd and 8 and more. So I think if, the key for Vanderbilt here facing their defense is to try to stay out of those 3rd and long situations, is to try to maintain their control and dominance up front on the line of scrimmage. They've done so with every other opponent they've played, including South Carolina in a very hostile road environment, which they quickly quieted that down against Virginia Tech, who, given all their warts, probably one of their best qualities about their team is their defensive front. They're tough. They're physical. They may not play well together. They may play sloppy. They may do, but they are tough up front, and they will flat get after you. Vanderbilt was able to rip their will right out of their chest. So that's something that I think is a key for Vanderbilt against this defense. If they can just maul them a little bit early on, I think they're really going to have to test their depth chart. And if Vanderbilt wants to have any sort of success in this game, that's the thing they have to do. And when I say any sort of success, I think they will have the success because they've shown that they will, but they just got to go out there and execute it. They just got to go out there and do it. So I think that's the key. It's going to be a line of scrimmage game, because when the SEC plays any of these type of games, that's what it is. You show your dominance out of conference on the line of scrimmage. Everybody's got skill guys. Everybody's got great quarterbacks. I mean, Diego Pavia came from New Mexico State. Those quarterbacks exist in other places, not just the SEC. So that's going to, you're going to have a guy like that on your schedule. And when you have Bronco Mendenhall, you're definitely going to have a sharp offense. You're going to have a sharp defense. You're going to have a well-coached team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So you have to force them into making mistakes. You just have to beat them. You just have to go out there and grind them into the ground. And then that's kind of the early keys that I see. But when you look at them, they flat get after you. They're a pretty good line of scrimmage team for what they are. I think they have a limited roster, which is going to make them a limited team, and their impact is going to have a very low ceiling, or relatively low ceiling, when they get into conference play, or when they come into this week against Vanderbilt. I think they're going to hit their ceiling pretty early. They'll get some points. I think people will walk away concerned with the defense, but really and truly, I think you're going to get some really good quarterback play in this game. I think Bryson Barnes has what it takes. I think he's really good and really strong as a runner. I think he's a really good leader. He distributes the ball well. He understands. And I think, again, the coaching is top notch here. I think Bronco Mendenhall, they made the right move here hiring Bronco Mendenhall, because he's a program builder. He's a guy that can go into a situation like this and really thrive. So notable players to watch: Bryson Barnes, obviously, Miles Davis, John Miller, and Noah Avenger. There's some more guys on the roster that I think are notable, but these are the 4 that really kind of stood out because of what Utah State wants to do on the ground. Miles Davis, I think, is somebody that can chew up some yards and really present some problems for this Vanderbilt defense. So that being said, 21.5-point favorites. Early on, are you liking Vanderbilt to cover the spread? Are you liking it to be a tighter game because of all these factors? It's a home game for Vanderbilt. Utah State has to fly all the way out here and deal with the southeastern humidity. So, who knows there? But, I like early on, I like Vanderbilt as a 21.5-point favorite. I think they've shown me a lot. Just check out Utah State. They're an exciting team. I think if I liked a Mountain West team after watching Utah State and how they play and knowing what I know about Bronco Mendenhall, I think that's going to be the team that I really like out there in the Mountain West Conference. So I'm a big fan of what they do. I respect the hell out of what they do, and they're going to be a quality team. All right, and then I'll leave you with this. What are your thoughts? Leave in the comments. What are your thoughts on the permanent 3 opponents? Obviously, the Tennessee game is what it is. That one doesn't go away. I'm glad it's not going to go away. They're going to check these for the next 4 years. This is the list of permanent opponents. They're going to make adjustments based on, I guess, who is doing what. But what do you think mostly about Auburn and Mississippi State, the possibility of some new traditions, all that good stuff? So what do you think about all that? Leave it in the comments. But that's all I got. Until next time, anchor down. Peace. Thanks for watching Locked On Vandy. Remember, you can follow the show at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. You can follow myself at Coach Burton36. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Find us anywhere you find your podcast as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Anchor down. Peace out.